Hello Be Active families. The time has finally come where we get to show you this awesome partnership that I've been speaking about on our previous videos. So today I'm sitting next to Janay, who is going to be educating myself and yourself on some very important topics. So thank you very much for taking this time to meet with us today, and thank you for supporting us. I would love it if you could give an introduction to yourself and what it is that you're responsible for at Curaprox.
Awesome. So as Craig said, we were super excited about our partnership. We really feel that Be Active creates healthy habits for you and your children, and we really want to fit into that slot. So we're all about oral care. Oral care is not just a confident smile. Oral care really means body health as well. So we are very excited to be partnering with you. We know that you work with a lot of children in a lot of different schools and institutions. And my passion and my responsibility here at Curaprox is to educate parents and children about good oral care. Because a healthy mouth means a healthy body. So I think it's a great synergy and partnership.
That's amazing. So I will be honest with you, I have called you crazy a few times in the previous videos because I had never heard of the brand before up until I started getting wind of this potential partnership. And the reason I called you crazy and a few other people is because I have never heard of somebody who's so passionate about oral care. I thought that a toothbrush and toothpaste is just a toothbrush and toothpaste. So could you kind of let me know why are people passionate about this? Why are people saying that this is the best brand for oral care?
So I think the biggest thing for me, Craig, is we don't sell product just for the sake of selling product. We actually start educating women when they're pregnant. So that means that whilst you're pregnant, you're understanding what soothers do to the mouth, how it develops the jaw, palate and tongue. And so I sucked my thumb for 6 years myself. So you can hear that I sound super nasal. And I've impacted my breathing. So my whole life I've suffered with allergies and asthma. And I really feel that all of this can be prevented. And that's why I love the fact that you guys are, working with kids and having them be active. But really it's got to start with looking at oral health and actually making sure that the child's airway is 100% functional. So that is my passion. And I always said that on my gravestone, if it said, she really attempted to make health contagious, I've lived a good life. That means I've done my bit. So we work with mums from when they're pregnant. It's never too late though. So with education, we really try and make brushing fun. Two of the questions that we get asked mostly is, how do I get my child to brush their teeth? Because it's such a disaster in the mornings or in the evenings. And probably secondly, like, what's the importance of milk teeth? So the real answer to that is, if your child has got healthy oral cavity, they're probably breathing well, which means they're sleeping well, which means they'll make better nutritional decisions, which means they have energy to exercise. In fact, a healthy mouth can also reduce symptoms of ADHD. And a lot of parents don't know that. There are a lot of children on medication at the moment, and really a lot of those symptoms can be relieved if they are actually breathing well. And that all depends on what the oral cavity is doing. So it's not just a confident smile and straight teeth. There's a lot more to it.
So how do you get children to brush their teeth? Because I can imagine that a lot of parents struggle to get their children to actually do that. So how do you guys go about it? Because when I've done research, I can see that you are a company or a group of people who really take that seriously.
So I think making it fun is pretty much what you guys do. So with your sport, how do you get children to exercise, right? It's turned it into a game, and I think that's what we do. So we generally work a lot with dental professionals because really we feel that the education part of this is so vital. So we have like a sticker chart, for example, where the children can stick a little toothbrush onto a little bug. So when they're brushing morning and evening, and they fill that up, and then mommy and daddy can buy them a nice sweet. So it is sugar, but at least they're brushing their teeth. And then also there's a QR code on there that's got a nice video. Kids love screen time, so let's use that to our advantage. So they can then use that as a 2-minute video showing them how to brush. We've got colouring in pictures, we've got a bravery award if you go to the dentist, we've got oversized toothbrushes, so it's things that just make it fun for kids. And then more importantly, on the more serious side, our toothbrushes are super soft, Craig, you can feel that. Plaque is really soft. You do not need to brush hard. Men love brushing hard, and I always say to them, do you take a scourer to your car when you wash your car? No, right? So plaque is soft. You want to brush softly. Your enamel is literally like you're treating your car's exterior. So for dads, no more hard brushing. But you want to brush it soft because actually we don't just brush our teeth, we also brush our teeth and our gums. That's where the plaque collects, is in that junction between your teeth and your gums. So if you've got a hard brush and you're brushing your child's teeth, it's going to hurt them. And guess what they're going to do then? Avoid brushing. So not only do you make it fun, the right product is important. And then we've got like a mild mint toothpaste to introduce children to mint, because they're not just mini adults, and mint really burns them. So don't give them just a smidge of your toothpaste. You've got to have age-appropriate toothpaste. So these are all things that really just contribute to a much healthier home and a much easier brushing experience.
Okay. That's super insightful. And why, or what are some, I'm sure we've touched on it briefly, but what are some of the reasons that children don't like to brush their teeth?
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons. One, sorry parents, but starting really late with brushing. Because you can imagine if you've never had a toothbrush in your mouth and then somebody wants to put a toothbrush in your mouth and start brushing. So we have some parents who will send us an email saying, my child's 4, hates brushing their teeth, and when I asked when they started, it was like last month, which is not ideal. So actually, that's why we do a lot of education with pregnant mums. So once you start breastfeeding, twice a day, clean with a soft cloth in the mouth, and then start introducing a soft little finger brush. But that's probably one of the main reasons. So it's lack of the sort of habit that's been created. But also burning toothpaste, I beg your pardon, and a toothbrush that hurts. Because anything that's too hard and causes injury to their gum, you can't see that little injury. But actually for them it's super sore. Some children even have what we call a lip tie, and that's this little frenum here that's super attached to their gum. And if you brush over that, it actually tears that frenum sometimes. So some children may even have a lip tie that's preventing them from brushing. So this is why we work with dental professionals. I urge you guys, I know the dentist is not your favorite place as parents, but take your children as often as you can just for checkups, because they need to get used to it, the dentist. And it doesn't have to be for a filling or an extraction first. Just go for general checkups just to get them used to that environment. Yeah.
And it might sound like a funny question, because I think sometimes we all think we know the answer, but how many times should you brush your teeth in a day?
Yeah. So actually you shouldn't brush your teeth more than twice. You can if you wanted to, but do you know that actually if you have a glass of orange juice, you should never brush your teeth for at least 20 minutes after that. So anything acidic, and you know some of these kids' sweets are super acidic, don't get them to brush their teeth straight after, because that acid actually makes your enamel soft, and then when you brush, you're actually damaging your enamel. So after anything acidic, wait 20 minutes and then brush. But that's why it's really good to brush in the morning after they've had cereal, or even before, but 20 minutes then, they've got to wait, if it's a sugary cereal, and at night before bedtime. If you're only going to brush once, brush at night. So we always say brush in the morning, because obviously you want to keep your friends, but brush at night to keep your teeth. So if you're going to brush once a day, nighttime's better, because you've got that whole time during the evening for that bacteria to go to work on your teeth, and you don't want that. Yeah.
That's very interesting. And I've heard a lot of questions about milk teeth. So could you let us know, why should parents care about milk teeth?
Yeah.
Why should they care for milk teeth?
So often, yes, you're right. I mean, parents are like, oh, the milk teeth fall out anyway, so what, right? We don't have to take care of them. Milk teeth are super important. One, the fact that milk teeth start coming through before your permanent teeth means that they're the placeholders for your permanent teeth. They actually help with the growth of your jaw. And did you know that as the milk teeth come down and the permanent teeth, because actually basically the reason milk teeth fall out is because the permanent teeth come down and push them out. But as that's happening, the milk tooth root, and you've seen as parents, when you take that little tooth out, there's hardly any root. That root disintegrates and actually breaks down and actually feeds the jaw's bone with stem cells. So it encourages growth of the jaw. So extracting them is not ideal. You want them to come out naturally, and that's why looking after them is so important. Not only that, tooth decay will affect your child's confidence. The bacteria that causes tooth decay can affect ADHD symptoms, lack of concentration, lack of sleep, and pain. So it's really vital that we start looking after their milk teeth, and then it also creates good habits for when they've actually got their permanence.
And something that's very interesting for us as coaches in the sports and fitness space is we often get the question, or we ask ourselves the question rather, what's better to breathe? Should you breathe through your nose or should you breathe through your mouth?
Yes. So we actually have the ability to breathe through our mouths. But if you think about it, there's not one structure in the mouth that supports breathing at all. The only way we should ever breathe in and out is through our noses. Saying that, we can breathe through our mouths through excessive exercise. But did you know that if you breathe through your nose, you get up to 20% more oxygen to your brain, to your muscles, and all of your organs? And whilst you're exercising, that's a lot of energy more that you could utilize. So I don't know if you noticed, Craig, but in the Olympics a couple of years ago, some of the athletes were taping their mouths. And that's because it was the only way that they could enhance their performance. It's because if they knew that they nasal breathed while they were doing the activity, 20% more oxygen was being delivered to their muscles. So it's vital that your children are nasal breathing. The other reason with nasal breathing versus mouth breathing is your nose is your first point of immunity. So if you're breathing through your nose, you're actually trapping the bacteria in the filaments in your nose, right? Your hairs in your nose. You also are not drying out your airway because it actually humidifies your air before it goes into your lungs. Because a dry airway will mean tonsillitis for children and polyps, and the less you use your nose, the more blocked it will become. So it's vital that children are all breathing through their noses at all times. If your child is snoring or not a good sleeper, it's probably a breathing issue, and that should be looked at. Yeah. The fact that we're actually breathing doesn't mean we function breathing. So, yeah. But that's one of my big passion subjects, for sure.
That's amazing. That it's actually, as I'm listening to you, I can't believe that this is somebody who is selling oral care products instead of a professional in oral care, which is really amazing, and I think that really answers the question as to why we're here today, and why we are partnering with such an amazing brand. And I can see why people are advocating for you guys, because you are the experts on this topic. So thank you very much for taking the time to share this knowledge with us. And we are really looking forward to some exciting ventures together. So we are going to be sharing with you some really awesome projects and events that are coming up. So please watch this space. But for those of you who are already wanting to act on this awesome information and important information that you've heard, where can we find out more?